welcome you back to www.abbeyathletics.com, your source for stats, standing stories, and so much more. As you can tell around the campus, the seasons are changing. Fall is transitioning into winter, and with that means basketball. We're here with head coach Martin Unger of the men's basketball program to talk about what the 2015-16 Crusaders will look like this season. Coach, thanks so much for your time.
No problem, glad to be here.
So much has been said about this club, and youth was certainly the order of the day last year. This club is a year older, a year more experienced. You've had a chance to go out and recruit some guys that are going to fit your system. With that said, what are some of the early returns from what you've seen in the exhibition matchup and some of the early season practices?
Yeah, well, we're still quite young. We still don't have a senior on the squad, but the freshmen that have come in have really competed well with the older guys that are more mature, like you said before, more experienced. And I think having a year under their belt with this system, especially for the older guys, the new guys are still learning it. They're a lot more comfortable, comfortable with each other, I guess, and more comfortable with the system, the coaching staff. And, I'm very pleased with what I've seen so far in our preseason. And obviously when we went and played our exhibition game, I was pleased in our first half. In our second half, we kind of ran out of steam, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
This is a club that if you looked at last year's numbers, certainly Nick Huff, Dion Lane, Ray Chin, Markel Pollard, they were some of the statistical leaders. With that said, going into this part of the season, what are going to be some of the familiar characters that we're going to see on the floor this year, and what some of their roles, as you expect them to be, are going to look like this year?
Well, I think you hit those guys on the head right there. I mean, there are going to be four guys that we're going to count on a lot. Over the summer, they got even better than they were last year, so I'm really liking that. Our post play is going to be a lot better. Nicholas Fallard has come back a new man. He's going to look totally different than what we saw last year. Tyler Horn's been a little injured. Not sure what he's going to be able to produce this year, but when he does play, if he does play, he will be a force to reckon with. We've got some freshmen, like I said, coming in. They all can play. They're all going to have a chance to play. And then you've got a Drexler Clark and a Kendall Ratliff who've been in this program for 3 years. Both of those guys have really improved quite a bit. Drexler probably a little bit more than Kendall, as I would say, in scoring aspects. But they're all going to be counted on heavily, every one of them, I think. And that's what makes this team really special, I think, so far. What I've seen is we've thrown a multiple guys out there, even at App State, and everybody did something positive. So we don't really have a weak link at this point. So I'm very happy with that.
Well, now, and certainly any program is going to basically, their success is going to be dictated by how much depth they have on the floor. And certainly you've expanded by way of recruiting and by way of player development a wide array of guys that are going to create a lot of depth for you this year. Kind of give us an idea of what some of the newcomers are for this crop of Crusaders coming into the 15-16 season.
Well, we got Spencer Wilson, who came in as a point guard, kind of the point guard of the future, I would say, to take over later, the reins later on. Not quite ready yet as a freshman. He's got a lot of learning to do, but he still is good enough to be able to make a contribution. We brought in a couple of wings, Jacob Hartle and Ben Ferguson. Both those guys play hard. They both can score. Rebounding is great with them, so they bring something to the table of competitiveness with the other wings. And then Aiden Richard, a local product from Gaston Day here, 6'11", brings something a little bit more than Nicholas Fallard did with some shot blocking, changing shots, and is really athletic and can run the floor. Needs to put on a little weight, and we're working on that, but he's very skilled offensively, and he fits into the system very well. But like I said before, I think all those guys coming in have pushed the other guys to another level, because I think that competition has raised it, which has made them better, which has made our team better.
Having the opportunity to start the season at home with the first two matchups being a part of the Conference Carolina South Atlantic Conference Challenge. Last year you began the season at Wingate University taking on Mars Hill and Wingate. This time you're playing those same two teams, but you're doing it in the friendly confines of the Wheeler Center. What do you think that's going to do from a comfort level that might give you guys a different result from the opening weekend at Wingate last year?
Well, I just think the familiarity of being here. I mean, we practice here every day. We're going to have great fans here supporting us, which is going to be huge. And I just think that playing at home means a little bit more than playing on the road. When you have a young team, They like to be familiar. They like to be comfortable. You go on the road, it might be a little bit more difficult. So I love the fact that we're starting here at home. I love the fact that we're going to have great crowds this weekend. And I love the fact that our kids are ready to come out and play and perform and show what they are capable of.
In the early part of the year, certainly you're going to expect, I would imagine, a deepening level of the maturation process with the likes of Dion Lane, Nick Huff, certainly added development with Drexler Clark and Kendall Ratliff, certainly the leadership of Ray Chin in this program. With that said, what are going to be some of the early telltale signs from this club in the first couple of weeks that will say, okay, we're on the right path. I think this is going to be a really good year.
Well, as long as we're competitive, I think, at the beginning of last year, it took us a while to really figure out and realize how we have to compete at this level, because we had a lot of high school kids that had never played college basketball before. So we were just trying to figure out the level of competition. Now I believe they know that, and it was really shown in the Appalachian State game where we competed.
Right.
So as long as we can compete, those other things will take care of itself, because I know we have good enough players to make shots. I know we have good enough players to get stops, and I know we have good enough players to win games. So that'll take care of itself.
Well, Coach, I'm certainly excited to see what holds for this 15-16 club. Certainly the fans are going to get an opportunity right here in the Wheeler Center on Friday night against Mars Hill, I should say, and then on Saturday night against Wingate University. Please make sure that you're out here at the Wheeler Center to get a look at this 15-16 Crusaders club. Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Glad to be here.
Don't forget, folks, for stats, standing stories, and more, there's only one place in cyberspace when it comes to your Crusaders. That place, www.abbeyathletics.com. For Coach Martin Unger, this is Brian Rusher.